Paramhansa Yogananda, as it is expressed in Swami Kriyananda's autobiography, The New Path, in the chapters where he's living with Yogananda. And today I have a very short excerpt to share and to discuss briefly. Whenever I look at you, Norman once wrote to the Master in a note, I see only Divine Mother. Then behave accordingly, Master replied calmly when next they met. This was no modest disclaimer, but only an impersonal acceptance of things as they were. I just love this little illustration because, well, there's so many layers to it. Of course, Norman was, I feel underneath those words, trying to just have a dialogue with his guru, with his master. And he was, trying to tell him that he sees him as Divine Mother, that he sees him as God. And Yogananda's response was so classic, then behave accordingly. And beneath all of that, for each and every one of us, we can look at this in our own ways. But what he's really talking about is in every moment of every day, God is watching us because God, Divine Mother, as Yogananda used to love to worship God as the Divine Mother, resides within each and every one of us, within every atom of creation. And so when we think we're hiding, or when we think we're alone, or, we've been bad and we don't want anybody to know it, all of those kinds of thoughts that our egos let us get trapped into, we're just fooling ourselves. Divine Mother is always watching because Divine Mother is everywhere. And so as we go through our lives, and in fact, this is a wonderful way to, be able to take hold of life and gain that understanding as we get this viewpoint of life, then slowly but surely we begin to behave accordingly. I remember with Swami Kriyananda, who was not claiming to be the guru, but he was certainly much more evolved spiritually than I was from my point of view. I remember whenever I was around him, of course, I was on my best behavior. But why is it that we do that? Why is it that we, only behave well when we think someone we love or trust or care about how they hold us is watching? God is always watching. I have a fun little story I've shared with folks through the years, that I was in a restaurant with Swami Kriyananda, and he was deaf as a post. He was very hard of hearing at that point. So he had a fancy hearing aid, and it had a remote control. And he could also point it in the direction that people were speaking, because otherwise he couldn't teach. He needed that aid in order to hear what people were saying. And I can really relate because my husband has one of those now. They call it a Roger. But in any case, this was a long time ago, probably in the early 2000s. And in this restaurant, and with a group of us, there were maybe 5 or 6 of us with Kriyananda. And at a certain point, he excused himself and he went off to the men's room. Well, we kept talking, and as soon as he was out of our earshot, we started talking more casually about this person that was getting into trouble and that person who was giving us a hard time. And did you know how people just speak casually. And when he came back from the restroom, when he was, within a couple of feet of the table, he finished one of our sentences as we were speaking. Turns out that little hearing aid remote had been sitting on the table the entire time, and he heard the entire conversation, and we just all turned purple in our faces. Well, that's what's going on all the time. Divine Mother has a remote control hearing aid, and she is in every atom of creation, watching our thoughts, even what to speak of our actions and our words. And so, as Yogananda put it so beautifully and so simply to his disciple, then behave accordingly. Joy to you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. And tomorrow, not only is it Paramhansa Yogananda's birthday commemoration, but my husband is coming back from his seclusion tonight, so he'll be doing the noon broadcasts for the rest of this week, starting tomorrow. Joy to you, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye now.